I used to believe my marriage was unbreakable. 10 years felt like proof. We're solid, I told myself every morning while making her coffee. We survived everything. She would take the cup, check her phone, and say, "Thanks," without looking at me. I thought that was normal. I thought love just got quiet. On our 10th anniversary, I said, "Let's keep it simple. Dinner at home." She replied, "I already ate." I laughed. "Then sit with me." She said, "We need to talk first." She slid a thin folder across the table. "Read this." I frowned. "Is this a joke?" "No," she said. "It's a divorce agreement." My fingers shook when I opened it. "You're serious?" She crossed her arms. "Very." "Why today?" I asked. "Of all days." She looked bored. "Because it's efficient." I swallowed. "Did I do something wrong?" She sighed. "You didn't do anything. That's the problem." "What does that mean?" "It means I outgrew you," she said. "I've moved forward. You stayed the same." I laughed, but my chest hurt. "I stayed so you could grow." She tilted her head. "That's how you see it." "That's how it happened," I said. "I turned down jobs. I followed your transfers. I handled everything at home. And I appreciated it," she replied. Past tense. I stared at her. "10 years," I whispered. She said, "10 years is enough." "For who?" "For me." I tried to breathe. "Is there someone else?" She paused. "That doesn't matter." "It matters to me." She said, "I won't apologize for choosing myself." I nodded slowly. "You used to say we were a team." "I was younger," she answered. "Now I need more." "More than me?" "Yes." The room felt smaller. "So this is it?" She pushed a pen toward me. "A clean divorce. No drama. No fighting." I asked, "You already decided everything?" She said, "I handled the lawyers. It's fair." I flipped pages I couldn't read. "You want me to sign tonight?" "Yes." "On our anniversary?" She said, "Don't be emotional." I looked at her hands. "Do you even feel bad?" She hesitated. "I feel relieved." That word cut deep. "Relieved of what?" "Of pretending," she replied. I leaned back. "So I was pretending?" She said, "You were convenient." I closed my eyes. "I loved you." She answered, "Love isn't enough anymore." Silence stretched between us. I heard the clock. I heard my heart. "If I don't sign?" I asked. She said, "Then it gets ugly." "Ugly how?" "Public. Expensive. Exhausting." I picked up the pen. "You really think I'll just accept this?" She met my eyes. "You always do." That hurt more than the papers. I set the pen down. "You want me quiet." She nodded. "That's best for both of us." "For you," I said. She didn't argue. I looked at the folder again. "You're sure about this?" She stood up. "I've never been more sure." She walked away and said, "Sign it when you're ready." I followed her into the living room. "Wait," I said. She didn't turn around. "I'm tired." "I need to understand," I said. "When did I become nothing to you?" She faced me then. "You didn't become nothing. You just stopped being impressive." I nodded slowly. "Impressive," I repeated. She said, "I'm at a different level now." "And I'm below you?" "Yes," she said without hesitation. I felt my throat tighten. "You never said you were unhappy." She replied, "You never asked the right questions." "I asked if you were okay," I said. She shook her head. "That's not the same." I stepped closer. "I would have changed." She laughed softly. "That's what scares me. I don't want to wait for you anymore." "So you decided alone?" I said. "That's what strong people do," she answered. I looked at the folder again. "This says no claims. No discussions. No explanations." She said, "It protects us." "It protects you," I said. She picked up her phone. "Sign quietly and we both move on." I asked, "After 10 years, that's all I deserve?" She said, "You deserve peace." "So do I." I watched her walk to the bedroom and close the door. I stood there holding the papers, hearing my own breathing. "Clean divorce," I murmured. "Sign quietly." It was the moment I finally saw it. I kept replaying our beginning in my head. "You spilled coffee on my notes," I told her once. She laughed and said, "Then you should thank me. Now you noticed me." "I noticed you anyway," I said back then. She smiled. "Good. I like men who pay attention." When she got her first promotion, I said, "We should celebrate." She answered, "I can't. I have meetings." I'll cook, I said. You don't have to, she replied. I want to, I said. She smiled, distracted. You're always so supportive. Years passed like that. Take the job, I told her. It's in another city, she said. I'll move, I replied. She asked, what about your career? I'll figure it out, I said. She nodded. You're good at adjusting. One night I said, I have an idea. She didn't look up. Is it important? It could help, I said. She sighed. Let me handle things. I swallowed. Okay. At dinner with her friends, someone asked, what do you do again? Before I could answer, she said, he helps me manage things. I said, I work in. She cut in, he's flexible. They laughed politely. I smiled because I didn't know what else to do. Later I said, that hurt. She replied, don't be sensitive. I just wanted respect, I said. She said, you're reading too much into it. Her lawyer friend came over one evening. So you're the husband, he said, shaking my hand lightly. Yes, I replied. He smiled. Must be nice not worrying about income. I said, I contribute. My wife laughed. In his own way. I stayed quiet. You don't need to defend me, she told him. I wasn't, he said. Just curious. Curious felt like small. At her office party, her younger coworker said, you're lucky. I asked, how so? She takes care of everything, he replied. My wife added, he prefers it simple. I nodded. Simple works. On the drive home I said, do you really think I prefer that? She answered, you never complained. I didn't want to burden you, I said. She replied, then don't start now. I began hearing things differently. Can you pick up my dry cleaning? Can you cancel your plans? Can you stay out of this? Each request sounded like a reminder of my place. One night I said, do you still need me? She looked surprised. That's a strange question. Just answer, I said. She paused. Need is a strong word. At brunch, her coworker said, you must be proud. I said, I am. He smiled at her. You really upgraded your life. She didn't disagree. I realized then that everyone saw me the same way she did. Replaceable. Convenient. Quiet. He'll understand, she would say. He always does. When she asked, will you come to the meeting with the lawyer? I answered, yes. She said, good. Let's keep it smooth. I nodded. Of course. Inside something settled. I stopped trying to explain. I stopped defending my choices. I stopped hoping she would see me again. At the door she said, thank you for being reasonable. I smiled. I've had a lot of practice. I agreed to the meeting, calm on the outside, already done speaking on the inside. I didn't write the contract out of anger. I just want us safe, I told myself back then. When we got married I said, let me handle the paperwork. She laughed and replied, you like boring stuff. I said, someone has to. She shrugged. As long as it doesn't slow me down. Years ago I sat across from my mentor and said, I trust her but I need balance. He asked, love or fear? Both, I answered. He nodded. Then right protection, not punishment. When I told my wife, I set things up legally, she said, you're dramatic? I'm careful, I replied. She smiled. Same thing. Now, sitting across from her again, she said, I didn't expect you to cooperate so easily. I answered, you wanted quiet. She smirked. I always knew you'd do the right thing. I asked, the right thing for who? She waved her hand. Don't start. Her lawyer cleared his throat. We'll review and sign. She said, no need. I trust this. I stayed silent. She leaned toward me. You finally accepted reality. I replied, I accepted truth. She laughed. You always talk like that when you lose. I remembered signing the contract years ago. My mentor said, read it again before you lock it. I asked, what if she's offended? He replied, then she was never meant to read it. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I stepped aside. Hello. My mentor said, is today the day? Yes, I replied. He asked, are you calm? I am, I said. He paused. Then let them talk. Back at the table my wife said, why are you smiling? I answered, habit. She slid the papers closer. Sign here. I asked, did you read it? She scoffed. Do you think I have time? Her pen moved fast. I don't want anything from you, she said. I replied, you already took what you wanted. She smiled. And now I'm free. The lawyer said, initial here. She did. He said, and here. She signed again. She looked at me. Aren't you relieved? I said, I'm finished explaining myself. She raised an eyebrow. That's new. I'm learning, I replied. The lawyer flipped pages. Clause 7. She interrupted, standard. He nodded slowly. I watched her hands. You're very confident, I said. She answered, I earned it. You always believe that, I replied. She smiled. Because it's true. The lawyer stopped again. Clause 9 is unusual. She rolled her eyes. Is there a problem? He hesitated. It's specific. I felt my phone buzz once more. A message from my mentor read, listen carefully now. I looked up. My wife said, just read it. The lawyer cleared his throat. In the event of voluntary separation. She cut him off. Voluntary. That's us. He continued, slower now. I stayed quiet. I thought of the night I wrote that clause. I said to myself, if she ever walks away, I walk free. My mentor had replied, freedom is the real asset. The lawyer paused. This clause transfers. She frowned. Transfers what? He looked at me. Sir? I didn't answer. My wife laughed. Don't look at him. He doesn't understand these things. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. Actually, I think he understands very well. The room went still. The lawyer stopped reading. We need to discuss this before proceeding. My wife's smile faded. Discuss what? He looked at her. The contract you just signed. I sat still as the lawyer adjusted his papers. I'm required to read this aloud, he said. My wife crossed her arms. Just get it over with. He began. Clause 9 states that in the event of voluntary divorce initiated by either party. She interrupted, I initiated it. Yes, he replied, the initiating party forfeits executive authority tied to shared marital assets. Her smile froze. What does that mean? I said nothing. The lawyer continued, this includes voting rights, board influence, and managerial control. She laughed sharply. That's not real. He looked at her. It is. She turned to me. You wrote this. I answered, you signed it. She said, you tricked me. I replied, you refused to read. Her voice rose. That's manipulation. The lawyer said, please remain calm. She slammed her hand down. Explain the next part. He nodded. Clause 10 addresses financial distribution. She said, I waived claims. Yes, he answered, including future earnings linked to intellectual and corporate structures created during marriage. Her face drained. That's everything. I finally spoke. It's what I built quietly. She stared. You had nothing. I said, you never asked. The lawyer cleared his throat. There's also a confidentiality provision. She whispered, what? He read, any attempt to publicly misrepresent the other party results in automatic penalties. She laughed nervously. That's unenforceable. The judge entered then and said, it is enforceable. She turned fast. Judge, this is unfair. The judge replied, you had counsel. She pointed at me. He's been pretending for years. I said, I was supporting you. She shook her head. You planned this. The judge asked, do you contest the signature? She opened her mouth and closed it. The legal assistant said softly, you initialed every page. She looked at her hands. I didn't know. I said, I did. She stepped closer. Say something. Fix this. I answered, I already fixed myself. Her voice broke. After 10 years? I nodded. Especially after 10 years. She whispered, I'll lose everything. I replied, you chose to walk away. The judge said, proceed. The lawyer finished reading. My wife sat slowly. You won, she said. I shook my head. I'm free. She grabbed my sleeve. Look at me. I looked. She said, you're enjoying this. I replied, I'm breathing. She turned to the judge. He hid assets. The judge asked me, did you? I said, they were disclosed in the contract. The legal assistant added, they were listed clearly. My wife laughed weakly. This is insane. I said, that's how I felt signing my career away. She snapped, I never asked you to. I answered, you never stopped me either. She said, we were a team. I replied, teams talk. The lawyer said, we should continue. She said, no. Pause this. The judge shook his head. Proceed. Her voice shook. I'll negotiate. I asked, about what? She said, compromise. I answered, you want it clean. She whispered, I didn't mean like this. I said, neither did I. She looked at the lawyer. There has to be a way. He said, you signed voluntarily. She asked me, do you hate me? I replied, I don't trust you. She stepped back. That's worse. I felt calm. This is what honesty feels like. She said, you could help me. I answered, I already helped you for 10 years. The judge said, final acknowledgement? She shook her head. I wasn't ready. I said, neither was I when you left. The legal assistant slid papers forward. She stared. If I sign again? The lawyer said, this confirms awareness. She looked at me. Please. I said, read it. Her hands trembled as she scanned lines she once ignored. She whispered, control, assets, reputation. I nodded. Words matter. She signed slowly. The judge said, noted. The room felt lighter. She looked small. I thought you were weak. I answered, I was quiet. She said, that's the same. I replied, not anymore. She swallowed. What happens now? I said, you move on. She asked, and you? I said, I already did. She wiped her eyes. Say something kind. I said, I hope you learn. She laughed through tears. You sound like a stranger. I replied, you stopped seeing me years ago. She said, I was chasing success. I answered, and I was carrying us. The judge stood. This session is concluded. Chairs moved. Papers gathered. She reached for me once more. If I had read it. I said, if you had listened. Silence fell again. I felt no joy, only relief settling where fear once lived, steady and quiet, like air returning after holding my breath too long, finally after years of silence inside. She leaned close and whispered, you planned this. I thought no. I survived. The apartment felt empty the first night I returned. This place is too quiet, I said out loud. No one answered. I made tea anyway. You're fine, I told myself. You wanted peace. The silence didn't argue. 2 days later my phone buzzed. Is it true? My friend asked. Depends on what you heard, I replied. They're saying you destroyed her, he said. I laughed softly. I signed papers. That's not what people think. I can't control that, I said. We met for coffee. He looked uncomfortable. I didn't believe it at first. Believe what? I asked. That you weren't useless, he said. I nodded. Neither did she. He frowned. Why didn't you tell anyone? I was busy surviving, I replied. He stirred his cup. She's furious. I imagine so, I said. She told people you planned everything. I shrugged. She told people I was nothing for years. That's fair, he admitted. At home I set alarms, cooked simple meals, folded laundry. Routine helps, I whispered. Each small task felt like proof I still existed. When rumors reached me I didn't answer. Let them talk, I told the mirror. Another message came. Her board suspended her, my friend said. For what? Conflict clauses, he replied. They say she violated agreements. I closed my eyes. I didn't ask for that. I know, he said. But it's happening. I watched from a distance. Headlines replaced whispers. Former executive under review. Internal power dispute. I turned off notifications. This isn't my fight anymore, I said. One evening my friend called again. She tried to call you. I didn't answer. She's scared. I exhaled. So was I. You okay? He asked. I'm learning, I replied. Guilt crept in quietly. Did I go too far? I asked myself. I remembered her laughter, our early years. You didn't punish her, I answered back. You protected yourself. A week passed. Then two. My life grew smaller but steadier. I can breathe, I said while washing dishes. I meant it. At work, someone said, you seem lighter. I replied, I stopped carrying things that weren't mine. They nodded like they understood. Then the call came late. My phone vibrated on the nightstand. Her name flashed. I stared at it. You don't owe her, I whispered. The phone stopped. Then buzzed again. I answered. Hello. Her voice sounded thin. It's me. I know, I said. She paused. You didn't block me. I didn't need to, I replied. She swallowed. Everyone's gone. I sat on the bed. I'm sorry. No, you're not, she said. I was quiet. She continued, they stopped calling. Meetings disappeared. I said, that must be hard. She laughed weakly. You sound so calm. I'm trying, I said. She asked, did you tell them to do this? No, I replied. I believe you, she said. That's the worst part. I closed my eyes. Why are you calling? I don't know, she admitted. I waited. She whispered, I thought winning would feel different. I said, I thought losing would destroy me. Silence stretched. She said, I can't sleep. I replied, neither could I for years. She sniffed. I didn't know. I answered, you didn't ask. Her voice broke. I ruined everything. I said, you made choices. She asked, do you hate me? I paused. I'm tired. She breathed slowly. I don't blame you. That's new, I said. She sighed. I'm scared. I replied, you're not alone. You just can't lean on me anymore. She whispered my name. Yes. I wish I had listened. I said, I wish you had too. The call ended without goodbye. I set the phone down gently. My chest ached, but it didn't collapse. This is healing, I told myself. Outside, the night stayed quiet, holding space for what came next. The phone rang again an hour later. I stared at it. You don't have to answer, I told myself. My finger moved anyway. Hello, I said. Her breath sounded uneven. I'm still here. I figured, I replied. She whispered, I can't stop shaking. I said, sit down. I am, she answered. I just feel like I'm falling. I closed my eyes. Talk to me. She laughed bitterly. Now you want me to talk? I always did, I said. She went quiet. Then, I was jealous of you. I frowned. Of me? Yes, she said. You were calm. You didn't need applause. I replied, that's not strength. That was patience. She sniffed. I thought leaving you meant I was choosing power. And now? I asked. Now I know I confused power with control, she said. I said nothing. She rushed on, everyone admired me but you never competed. It made me feel small. I answered, so you tried to make me smaller. She cried softly. I didn't mean to destroy you. I know, I said. You just didn't mind if it happened. That hurt to say. It hurt to hear myself say it. She whispered, I was scared you'd wake up and realize you didn't need me. I swallowed. I did wake up. She sobbed harder. And I lost everything. Anger rose in my chest. You lost me long before this. She said, I know. I wanted to shout. I didn't. I wasn't perfect, I said. She paused. You never fought for us. I fought quietly, I replied. Every day. She said, I needed noise. I needed respect, I answered. She asked, do you forgive me? The word hung between us. Forgiveness isn't a reset button, I said. Then what is it? It's letting go without going back, I replied. She gasped. So that's it? Yes, I said. I won't save you. She whispered, I don't want saving. I just want you. I felt my chest tighten. You want what you lost. She cried, isn't that love? No, I said. That's regret. She grew quiet. I hated how strong you were without trying. I said, I hated how weak I felt beside you. She replied, I never saw that. I know, I said. She breathed slowly. If I could go back. I cut in, you can't. She asked, if I change? I answered, change doesn't erase choices. She said, you sound so final. I need to be, I replied. Tears slid into my voice. I loved you deeply. She whispered, I know. I still care, I admitted. She said, but not enough. Enough to stay, I corrected. She asked, is there someone else? No, I said. Then why leave? Because staying would mean losing myself again, I replied. She broke down fully. I don't know who I am without you. That's something you have to learn, I said gently. She begged, just stay on the phone. I can't, I replied. That's how it starts. She breathed in sharply. I was wrong. I nodded, though she couldn't see me. So was I, about how much I could endure. She said, I never meant to hurt you like this. I believe you, I answered. It doesn't change the damage. Silence returned. Then she said, you were the only one who never left. I replied, and that's why I have to now. She whispered my name one last time. I said, I hope you find peace. Her voice cracked. I hope you already have. I paused. I'm getting there. She cried quietly, no words, just breath and grief. I stayed silent, letting it pass. Then I heard the sound of the call ending. The line went dead. I lowered the phone slowly. My hands trembled, but my heart didn't break. I stood alone, choosing peace, knowing she hadn't just lost a marriage. She lost the man who would have saved her. Months passed without drama. You look different, my friend said one afternoon. Different how? I asked. Lighter, he replied. I nodded. I stopped arguing with the past. I woke early, ran again, cooked meals I liked. I forgot I enjoyed this, I told myself while fixing breakfast. No one complained. No one corrected me. The quiet felt earned. At work, someone said, "You're smiling more." I answered, "I finally hear myself think." They laughed. Must be nice. It is, I said honestly. News reached me through other mouths. Did you see what happened? My friend asked one night. I don't watch, I replied. She lost another position, he said. I closed my eyes. I didn't push. I know, he answered. She did. Another call came from someone else. People are distancing themselves, they said. Why tell me? I asked. Because she blames you, they replied. I sighed. Blame is loud. Truth is quiet. I took my wedding ring from a drawer. You carried a lot, I whispered to it. I set it down gently. You don't anymore. The metal felt lighter than memory. An old photo fell from a book. Our anniversary. She smiled wide. I looked tired. I didn't see it then, I said softly. But I feel it now. At lunch, my friend asked, Do you feel bad? Sometimes, I said. For what? For not saving her, I replied. He frowned. That was never your job. I know, I said. I just forgot. A message popped up on my phone. She's giving interviews, someone wrote. I typed back, I'm not watching. They replied, she's unraveling. I put the phone face down. That's not my story. I returned to old passions. You still paint? My friend asked when he saw the canvas. I never stopped, I said. I just hid it. It's good, he said. I know, I replied. That's new for me. Another rumor reached me. They say she burned bridges. I didn't light the fire, I answered. No, my friend said. You walked away. I learned something then. Power doesn't need witnesses, I told myself. It just exists. I didn't explain anymore. I didn't defend. Silence worked better. One evening, I found the anniversary card she never opened. Happy 10 years, it read. I smiled sadly. We didn't make it, I said. But I did. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. Not every knock deserves opening, I whispered. At dinner, my friend said, She's asking about you. I replied, Tell her I'm well. That's it. That's enough, I said. He studied me. You're not angry. I admitted. Anger taught me boundaries. And now? Now it rests, I said. Another report surfaced. They're questioning her integrity. I shook my head. Integrity isn't something you borrow. He nodded. She thought image was enough. So did I said once. Late at night, I held the ring again. I forgive you, I said, unsure who I meant. I placed it in a box and closed the lid. The sound felt final. I stood by the window. I didn't win loudly, I told my reflection. I won quietly. The man staring back looked steady. A message came from my friend. Any regrets? I typed, only staying too long. He replied, You're free now. I smiled. I've been free. I just noticed. I turned off the lights. Tomorrow waited without fear. I lay down, breathing evenly. Let go, I told myself. This time I listened. I saw her at the cafe near the station. She stood when she noticed me. Hi, she said. Hi, I replied. We didn't hug. We didn't sit close. She gestured to the chair. Thank you for meeting me. I had time, I said. She looked different. Quieter. You look well, she said. I am, I answered. She nodded slowly. I'm glad. The waiter asked, Anything to drink? Just water, she said. Same, I replied. She stared at her hands. I won't keep you long. I said, Say what you came to say. She took a breath. I'm sorry. I waited. I'm sorry for belittling you, she continued. For ignoring you. For confusing love with control. I listened. She added, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I nodded. That matters. She looked up. You don't hate me. No, I said. That scares me, she admitted. I don't carry anger anymore, I replied. It's heavy. She smiled sadly. You always did let go faster than me. I learned, I said. Silence passed. She asked, do you ever miss us? I miss who I thought we were, I answered. She nodded. Me too. She swallowed. I lost things after you left. I know, I said. But I gained clarity, she added. I replied, so did I. She leaned back. I thought love meant winning. I said, love without respect eats itself. She whispered, I see that now. The waiter returned with water. He left. She said, this is strange. It's honest, I replied. She asked, are you happy? I'm peaceful, I said. She smiled. That suits you. She stood. I won't reach out again. I appreciate that, I replied. She hesitated. I truly wish you well. I wish you growth, I said. She nodded once and walked away. I watched until the door closed. I felt nothing sharp, just clear. I sat there a moment longer. This is what closure feels like, I told myself. No shaking, no regret, just acceptance. On the walk home I spoke quietly to myself. You are allowed to leave places that hurt you. The words felt solid. I passed a couple arguing on the sidewalk. I used to think love was endurance, I said under my breath. Now I know it's balance. At home I poured tea. You did okay, I told my reflection. The man staring back didn't look smaller anymore. I thought of you reading this. If you're listening, I said silently, learn sooner than I did. Don't beg to be valued. Don't explain your worth. Boundaries aren't walls, I added. They're doors you control. I sat at my desk and opened a blank page. No signatures, I said. No witnesses. I wrote one line. I choose myself without guilt. The past didn't argue. The future didn't rush me. I closed the notebook and felt steady. My phone buzzed with a message from my friend. All good. I typed back, all clear. He replied, proud of you. I smiled. Me too. I lay down as evening settled.